Namaste, everybody. Welcome back for another hour of yin and yang. My name is Sesa, if you're new to the class. But we kind of find ourselves in a little bit of a crazy time, so I wanted to invite a very dear friend of mine out to talk about his experience during this whole quarantine situation. So I would like to introduce everybody to Tika Mangala.
Hey, SesaO'Connor, how are you doing today, huh?
I'm great, Tika Mangala. How are you?
I kind of had a rough night last night.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, when you told me I should go to have dinner at Taco Bell, it gave me the shits.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that.
It's okay, I got a green juice this morning and it flushed it all out. It was like wheatgrass and an atomic bomb with some refried beans.
I'm sorry I missed that. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about this whole quarantine thing, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
All right, so what are some of the pros of practicing yoga at home?
Well, the pros are I don't have to smell anybody's farts anymore when I'm practicing yoga.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. What about the cons?
Well, the cons are I don't get to go to yoga class and rip any of my horrendous farts while everybody is doing Ujjayi pranayama so they can smell it.
Yeah. What have you been doing with your free time during this difficult period?
Well, I've been going on these quarantine walks with this girl I just met.
Oh, really? Do you mind if I ask who she is?
SesaO'Connor. Yeah!
What do you like most about this online yoga that we're offering here at Yoga Salt?
Well, I don't have to really pay for it. It's just an energetic exchange. I get to give my love and good vibes.
Well, that's nice, but donations are greatly appreciated, Tico.
Well, Sesha, you know I am the cheapest man in the whole planet. For instance, you know clothes? They're expensive, right?
Yes, they are.
Do you see any on me?
No, I do not.
Yeah! Free balling!
Well, thank you, Tico, for coming today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we'll get started and do some yoga. How about that?
Okay, but no farting, okay, Sesha? I don't want to smell anybody's gas today, huh?
I'll try not to. All right, ready to roll? All right, yogis, let's go ahead and get started. Child's pose. So if you want to just sit towards the back of your mat on the tops of the feet and the shins. Big toes touch. The knees can touch as well unless you prefer to open them comfortable with apart. Arms can extend forward or down the sides of your body. Just kind of checking in, maybe playing around with a few of those different options and just dropping in, settling. I sometimes like to refer to the practice of coming onto the mat as kind of coming to a place of sanctuary, stepping away from everything and everyone that extends beyond the yoga mat as we begin to kind of take that journey inward. So starting with the most concrete, whether that is the tops of the feet, the shins, arms and forehead laying heavy on the mat, the weight of your hips sinking towards the heels. But beginning to work your way a layer deeper as you notice any tightness or tension within the muscles, kinks and pains within joints. Acknowledge your mind, wandering thoughts, anxieties, anticipations. And most importantly, just coming and landing on your breath. And we'll begin to allow our breathing to become a bit more mindful. I like to start off by letting go of a nice long exhale, just releasing any dormant, stale air you might be holding on to. And then take a deep inhale through the nose, holding that breath at the very top. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. Then open up the mouth and just audibly let it go. Take another deep inhale, but send it to the hook of your tailbone. Try to get your ribs to expand out horizontally, the spine to grow longer, and then hold. Open up the mouth. Last one, deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time, keeping your lips sealed, go ahead and just slowly exhale out the nose. And then just breathing in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. Samavritihi, which just means a balanced breath. And then if you have Ujjayi pranayama in your practice, feel free to tap into it. But just trying to remember to keep the breath at the forefront of the practice. And then if you're with me, on an inhale, you'll slowly begin to extend the arms long to the front of the mat. Open your hands up, shoulders distance apart. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, downward dog, we'll lift the hips, tuck the toes, drive your heels towards the earth. Maybe pedal out your feet, come up and down on the toes, get past any movement or fidgeting that feels right or appropriate. Do take a quick look at the hands. Be sure they are jetting straight out from the shoulders. Ideally, it's your index and middle finger that point straight forward. But if you're sensitive in the wrists or super tight in your shoulders, you can turn your hands a little further out. And then as you relax your head and neck, just look back at your feet. Let them rest hips distance apart. Make your heels spin back and just slightly out so they disappear behind your toes. And then even if you have to bend your knees a lot, I want you to think of lifting your hip creases straight up to the sky. Try to get your sit bones to scrape the ceiling. But knit the front ribs and even the sternum bone in so you don't just dump or sway in your upper back. Your goal is to accentuate the natural curves and convexes of your spine as you just play with pressing the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor your heels down. And then let's keep the head and neck relaxed, but consciously think about the hands. Can you lift just your fingertips up off the mat, grounding down to the whole circumference of your palm, and then as you spread your fingers wide, fan them into the mat, root each knuckle ending with your fingertips. Now, can you keep your hands as they are, but you're gonna protract your shoulder blades, hug them to the outer rib cage. That's gonna help wrap your triceps back, and then I want you to think of lifting your forearms forward. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up. Just lower your hips in line with the shoulders. Drive your heels back. Firm your thigh bones up to the ceiling. Unless you need to drop to the knees at any point for modification, use them. But keep the hips level with the shoulder blades and add the slightest tuck to the tailbone so you can pull the lower belly in. With the wrist, elbow, shoulders stacked, you want to push down so much into the inner edge of your hands that the natural reaction is your chest and the back of your head actually lift up. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. Maybe close your eyes, soften your breath. And then without moving your hands or feet, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, downward dog, lift your hips up and back. Now let's inhale, come forward, high plank. Tighten up the lower belly. Let's just lift the right foot about an inch up off the ground. You should stack maybe 8/4 between your big toe and the mat. Flex through the right heel, drive into the left. Keep the hips level. We have a tendency to let that right hip either lift or drop. Push into the palms. Last few moments. And then setting that right foot down, lift your left foot up just an inch. Keep the hips level. Keep breathing in and out your nose. Keep pressing into the hands so your chest stays actively lifting away from the mat. And then set your left foot down and exhale, lift your hips downward facing dog. Now inhale, come forward, high plank. If you need to drop to the knees, use them. I want you to lean your shoulders forward, and on an exhale, go halfway down. Elbows hug back. Try not to go lower than your elbows. And then inhale, push up, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, come forward. So again, if you need the knees, use them. You can follow along even if you drop the knees, lean forward. Exhale, halfway down, pause. You'll lift your right foot up about an inch. Pull the belly in. Set the right foot down, push up, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale to high plank. As you lean out halfway down, you either lift your left foot or knee up an inch, pull the belly tight, set the foot down, and inhale, push up, exhale, downward dog. Now let's inhale, roll forward. As you lean forward, exhale, lower slow, go all the way to the mat. Rest the center of your forehead down, and let's keep the toes tucked today. Driving the heels back, that's gonna lift the shins and the knees up off the mat, it'll affirm the thighs. Now I want you to think of scooping the tailbone down towards the mat so the pubic bone pushes into the earth. Now as you hug your elbows back, imagine pulling the skin of your elbows straight back to begin to lift the head and the chunk of your chest up off the ground for a low cobra. Just as high as comfortable. Drive the heels back energetically. The legs are lifting and pushing back. Front ribs knit in, lengthening the spine, and then inhale, maybe lift a little more. And exhale, set it down. Now inhale, low cobra, heels push back, crown of the head pulls forward and up. And exhale, release. Inhale, low cobra, heels press back, shins and thighs firm. Now I want you to imagine you are a rope being pulled taut. On an exhale, you're going to pull your lower belly in and lift your hips up level with your elbows for chaturanga. Shoulders stay where they're at. And then inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, roll forward like a wave. So again, keeping your toes tucked, exhale halfway down. This time upward dog like that. Push your arms straight, lift through the spine, drive the heels back so the legs don't sag to the mat, they're actually actively lifting. Tuck your tailbone down, pull the front ribs in, wrap the triceps back, maybe look up. Take an inhale, belly in as you bend your arms halfway. Inhale, high plank, and exhale, downward dog. So let's piece together vinyasa, breath per movement. Push up on the way out is optional. Inhale, come forward, high plank. As you lean out, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. You can untuck the toes if you'd like, but as you're ready, exhale, downward dog. Lift your hips, relax the head and neck. Now let's inhale the right leg to the sky. Flex the heel, square off that right hip. So you don't want it rolling open to the sky, but try not to let the right hip sag to the mat. You want that right hip to be level with the left. Press into the palms to create more length. Take an inhale. As you exhale, pull the knee down and across to your left elbow, but try and think more up and into the armpit. Inhale, kick the leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee to your left arm. Inhale, stretch it to the sky, and just go on your own like this, breath per movement, finding that little twist, getting into your obliques. Make sure you check it with your breathing. It's the inhale that initiates your lift up to the sky, and every exhale that pulls the leg towards that left arm. And then with an inhale, we'll kick the leg up. Together, exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to your right thumb. Keeping your back toes tucked, just drop your back knee to the mat. Plant your left palm, reach your right arm up. We'll take our first twist. So the left heel pushes back to help give this pose an energetic line. The hips, they descend forward and down, but imagine you're actually squeezing your inner thighs close together at the point closest to your groin. Front knee stacks at your ankle, left palm presses into the mat, roll your left shoulder blade away from the ear. Notice if you're trying to broaden your chest by pinching your shoulder blades together, can you actually get your shoulder blades to draw apart as well? Now keep that within the upper body. Drive your left heel back and lift your left thigh bone up towards the ceiling. You can't lift that left thigh high enough. Make sure the right hip didn't pop out. Hug it in. Right sitting bone works towards that right heel. And then with an inhale, let's take that top arm up and overhead. Palm facing the mat. Wrap your right tricep down towards your face as that left tricep hugs back towards your left foot. Knit the front ribs in. Now try and twist your left side ribs towards the inner right thigh, leaning back, take an inhale. Exhale, right hand down, lift your right leg back up to the sky, three-legged dog. Flex that foot. This time bend the knee and open your hip, relax the head and neck. If your right shoulder goes along for the ride, wrap the outer right rib cage and shoulder down, keep the torso square. Now find the tippy toes of your back foot. As you exhale, pull the knee towards your right tricep or outer deltoid or shoulder. Inhale, lift the leg, bend the knee, open the hip. Exhale, pull the knee to your right arm. On your own, on this side, breath per movement. Now getting into the right lat, finding an external rotation within that hip, just balancing it out. Breathe in and out your nose. And then with an inhale, we'll lift that leg and open the hip. As you exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to the right thumb. Turn your back heel down. You want front heel to line up with the back heel. Make sure your back toes turn forward at about 10 degrees. It could be a little bit more. Now cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra, up dog in the shoulders to lengthen your spine forward. Push your right knee into your arm. Try to keep that right hand on the outer edge of your foot, even if you have to put it up on a prop. Now reach your left arm up to the sky. Extended side angle. So ground down to the knife edge of your back foot. Push your right knee into your bicep so that right hip hugs underneath the pose. Inner left thigh wraps up and back. Top arm will take it up and overhead, palm facing the earth. Wrap your top tricep down. Hug those front ribs in. Now you're going to lengthen your right side ribs away from your hip and think of twisting them out and up towards the ceiling to lean your torso back. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, left hand to the mat. We'll step back, chaturanga, lower slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Remember, you can untuck the toes or not. And then exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll lift the left leg to the sky, flex to the heel, lead with the inner thigh, but keep that left hip neutral. And then as you're ready, exhale, pull the knee down and over to the right. Don't let the left shoulder shoot forward. Inhale, kick the leg up and back. Exhale, pull the knee back to your right. Inhale, kick it for the sky on your own, breath per movement on our second side. Soften your face. The longer and deeper your breath is, the more drawn out the movements become. And then with an inhale, we'll kick that leg up. Together, exhale, knee to chest. Look forward so you can step next to the left thumb. Keep the back toes tucked, but drop the knee. Plant the right palm, reach your left arm up. So right heel pushes back. Allow the hips to sink forward, but even here, you're trying to squeeze the inner groin closer together so you're not just collapsing the hip joints. Front knee stacks at the center of your ankle. Really work on the upper body. As you push your right hand down, notice if that's making your shoulder hike up. You're doing it backwards. I want you to roll the shoulder blade down the back and then protract the shoulder blade to the outer ribs to push your hand down. That'll help jump your top arm up. Hug the front ribs in. Now keep the upper body, but drive your right heel back and lift your right thigh bone up towards the ceiling. As if that right leg were lifting against the weight of your left hip sinking down. Lower belly pulls in. Keep that right arm, the tricep wrapping back as you take your top arm up and overhead, palm facing the mat, trying to get longer from the back heel to those left fingertips. If you want to look up underneath your left arm, great. If not, just look down at the mat for balance. Just keep your neck safe, but breathe. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, left hand to the mat. Lift your left leg up and back. Bend the knee, heel to the butt. Roll your left hip open. Relax your head and neck. Take an inhale. Find the tippy toes of your back foot. Exhale. Try and draw that left knee to the outer left arm, the outer tricep or outer shoulder. Inhale, lift the leg and open the hip. Exhale, pull the knee back to your left arm. On your own, second round on the second side. Make sure you check in with your breath. It's not about how many you get in or how quickly you get it done. Just follow your breath. And with an inhale, we'll lift and open the hip. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest. Look forward and step next to the left thumb. As you turn the back heel down, you should naturally line up heel to heel. Turn the back toes slightly forward at least 10 degrees. Cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra, up dog in your chest. Push your left knee into your arm now to hug your left hip back. Now freeze from your hips down. Just reach your right arm up, opening the chest. Spin the inner right thigh back. Ground down to the knife edge of that back foot. Left knee pushes into your bicep into the knee. Front ribs hug in, contain the front body as you take your top arm up and overhead. And then don't lose the anchor of that back foot. Lengthen the left side ribs away from the hip crease. Try and twist them out and up towards the ceiling. See how far back you can lean. Breathe into that opening in space. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. We'll step the left foot back. Chaturanga is your exit. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's inhale. Bend the knees, draw your hips way back and look beyond your fingertips. Exhale, take a giant step, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold in. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, glancing down and back. Inhale, halfway up. And exhale, forward fold. Now adding a little bend to the knees. Think flat back, pull the belly in, and inhale, circle your arms up to the sky, Tadasana, mountain pose. Maybe watch your palms kiss. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Sun A, inhale, arms fall before they rise. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant the hands, chaturanga, step or jump back. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we'll keep it moving. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Bottom of your exhale, walk or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Now the same flat back. Inhale, Tadasana, circle your arms up, finding the peak. Exhale, Samasthiti, prayer in front of the heart. Inhale, Tadasana, arms circle for the sun. And then exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. From downward dog, we have 1 more coming. Let's inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center. Inhale, Tadasana, reach up, look up. Exhale, forward fold, looking down and back. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, Chaturanga, finish this one off on your own, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. From downward dog, let's go ahead and inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. So big toes touch your heels, separate just a little bit. If your feet have to be hip distance apart, you'll need to put a block in between the knees. But inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend your knees, drop your hips, reach up. So let the weight push straight down into the middle of your feet, even if the toes do lift up. Draw the knees back so you can at least see your toes. And then as you work your knees together, it's actually more important to resist them apart so your knees don't touch, they stack at the center of your ankles. Make your thighs heavy, your tailbone heavier, neutralize the lower back, pull the lower belly in, knit the front ribs together. If that makes you drop your chest, you'll be able to lift your chest when you learn to lift your thoracic spine. Think cobra up dog in your shoulders. Wrap those triceps forward, maybe look forward. And then inhale, press up to standing, grow taller. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, straight back into chair. Hips go low, arms reach high. So freeze. You'll just pull your hands to heart center. Lean your chest halfway forward and see if that actually allows you to sink your hips a little lower. And then exhale, twist. Left elbow to the outside of that right knee. So the left hip has a tendency to shoot forward, which makes your left knee shoot forward. So hug your left hip crease back. Thighs are heavy, elbows stack and your palms press. Broaden not only the collarbones, but again, the shoulder blades. Try to get them to broaden apart as well. Now you're going to keep your twist, just look down to the mat for balance. And step 1, you're just going to lift your left heel up off the mat so you come to the left tippy toes. If you feel okay there, you might try to lift that left heel up towards your butt. And if you still feel okay, you might try to shoot the leg straight back, hovering it in line with your hip for a bent knee, twisted warrior 3. But wherever you're at, keep the twist. And very gently, you're going to step the left foot way back, land on the toes, prayer balancing twist. Drive that left heel back, lift your left thigh bone up. As the elbows stack and the palms press, you're trying to lift the chest towards the ceiling. If you want to open your arms, take a half bind or a full bind, be my guest. But check in with your breathing. Are you still breathing in and out your nose? Now, wherever you're at in your twist, I want you to pull your belly in and just look to the mat. Now, imagine squeezing your inner thighs closer together and just lift that left arm about 1/2 inch up off your leg. So everything's going to lock into place. And then while you're here, the legs are ready. I want you to premeditate Warrior Two. And then with an inhale, windmill your arms open, Warrior Two, back heel turns down. Set up the feet. Your front heel can line up with the back heel. That gives you a lot more space within the back ridge of your pelvis. If you prefer heel to arch, take it. Back toes turn about 10 degrees forward like they did for extended side. Left thigh pushes back. Front knee, stack it at the ankle, even if it's not 90 degrees, but push it out to the right so you can see your big toe. Tuck the tailbone down, pull the lower belly and front ribs in. The arms expand apart. They're in a nice, long, straight line. If you're feeling this all up in your deltoids, the shoulder caps, I want you to try and push your arms down without letting them go down so your lats turn on as well. Focus over your front hand. Flip your right palm up. Inhale, reach up, reverse warrior. Keep that back hand light. Pull the lower belly in. Try to jump your right hip up away from the top of your thigh as that front leg works its way forward. Top arm as straight as can be. Breathe in and out your nose. Take an inhale. As you exhale, Warrior Two, we'll pause. Now you're going to take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and then bring that fist that you've just created forward into your right hip crease. Now you're going to pull your right elbow forward, so it creates kind of like a chicken wing, right elbow forward towards the front of the mat. Now gently drop your right elbow to the inside of your right knee. So kind of use that elbow to keep the knee in check, but also use that to feel this super strange stretch you probably feel in all different parts of your right shoulder. Breathe. Sink that right sit bone towards the heel. Don't lose the bend in the front knee. Soften your face. And then looking down, push down Warrior Two. Gently open the arms up. With an inhale, you'll reach your right arm as far forward as it'll go. Exhale, right hand on the inner edge of your right foot. Cup the earth, put it on a block, but you're going to take the top arm and wrap it onto the lower back. The back of your hand should kind of hit your outer right glute or hip, or you could just stick with the half bind, stuffing it into your hip crease. If you want the full bind, you'll wrap that right hand underneath you. The right hand should grab the left wrist or fingertips, and then you pull your hands towards your left foot. That's going to help lift the shoulder up and hug the right hip under. Breathe in and out your nose. And then looking down to the mat. Slowly, Warrior Two, push back up. Holy shiitake mushrooms. Flip your right palm up. Inhale, reach it up. Stretch. Take a deep breath. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the mat. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, we have to do the other side. Well, technically, we don't have to, but your body might be a little upset if you don't. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Big toes touch, heels separate a little bit. Inhale, Utkatasana. Drop it low, reach up. And then press up to standing, prayer in front of your heart. Inhale, straight back into chair. Keep the shape, pull your hands to heart center. As you lean your chest forward, sink your hips further back. And then exhale, twist right elbow to the outside of that knee. So remember, it's the right hip that you actually need to hug back to get the knees to line up. Even here, can you actually resist the knees apart so they're not just collapsing together? The lower you can sink your hips, the longer your spine will get and the more you'll be able to twist. So keeping the twist, you're just going to shift the weight to your left foot. And for now, just lift your right heel up off the ground so you come to the tippy toes of the right foot. If that feels okay, you might try and hug that heel to your butt. Once you feel balanced, you might shoot the leg straight back, energize that back leg, something that is actively participating. And then however you have your right foot, very gently step it way back, land on your toes, find your twist. Right heel pushes back, right thigh bone lifts up. Hug that left hip back, stack through the elbows, press into the palms. And remember, you could fly your arms, take a half bind, full bind, whatever your body allows you to do on this side while breathing. Don't hold your breath. Try to soften your face. Now, wherever you're at in the twist, you're going to look down to the mat, squeeze those inner thighs closer together, and just lift your right elbow about an inch up off the thigh. Pull the belly in. And then like a helicopter, open the arms up, warrior two, back heel turns down, heel to heel or heel to arch. That is preference. Just make sure your back toes anchor slightly forward. And that is to protect the groin. Right thigh should be anchored into the hips. Inner thighs work away from each other. But simultaneously, you're trying to drag your feet closer together. Tuck the tailbone down, lift the rest of your spine up. And then remember, the arms, you don't want your deltoids to be doing all the work, or else your arms get very heavy very quickly. So if you can make your shoulder blades push down your back to turn on your lats, they can help hold up your arms. Focus over the front hand. Flip your left palm up. Inhale, reach up. Backhand stays light, so you become more dependent on your core to support the spine than the weight in the hand. Left leg still comes forward. That left hip bone, you want to feel it jump up off the top of your thigh bone, as if you're trying to lift that left hip to your fingertips. Breathe. Take an inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Pause. Drop your hands behind you. Interlace your hands the non-habitual way. It generally feels like you're holding somebody else's hand. Hook that fist forward into your left hip crease. Pull your left elbow forward and then drop it to the inside of your knee. Make sure the knee is still tracking over the ankle in every direction. Push into your right thigh. Ground into that back foot. Broaden the collarbones. Hug the front ribs in. And breathe. In and out your nose. And then looking down. Gently, warrior two, come up, open the arms up. Reach your left arm forward. Exhale, hand to the inner edge of your foot on a prop or not. Wrap your right hand onto the lower back. Your choice, you stick with a half bind or you take the full bind, wrapping the left arm underneath your left leg. But it's important your left hand grabs your right. Lift the tip of your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. Press your left knee out. Pull the lower belly in. Breathe. And then looking down, gently, warrior two, pull yourself back up, open the arms up, flip the left palm up, inhale, reach up, and then exhale, windmill the hands down, step back, do or don't take your last vinyasa of the class, and we'll meet in downward dog. From downward dog, we'll take a nice deep inhale through the nose, holding this breath at the very top. Open up the mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time, like a lion, stick out your tongue. Drop your knees. Cross one ankle over the other, sit back behind your feet, and you should pretty much already land in Sukhasana. Crisscross applesauce, right? So whether it's your right shin in front of the left or not doesn't matter, but try and get your feet to stay wide and forward with your knees rather than sliding into the groin. Make sure you find your sit bones so you're not rounding the tailbone underneath you. And then reach your arms forward. You're going to cross your left elbow under the right. Bring your forearms up, maybe twist through the wrists. You can always just grab opposite shoulders. And then round out your spine. Tuck your chin to your chest. Let your forehead fall into the nest of your arms. And then gently begin to release. That left elbow maybe lands on top of your right shin. Maybe it goes all the way to the mat. And then we'll sit. Find your breath. So getting into those hips, rounding through the spine, and also stressing the shoulder joints. Getting into all the connective tissues that connect the trapezius, the rhomboids, the levitators to the scapula. Just giving them a little bit of stress to build strength and flexibility. And just remember, if your elbows don't come to the mat, they can rest on that front leg. You could even rest them on a pillow, a block, any form of prop. Try to soften anything you don't need. Notice if the hips are lifting, can you anchor the sit bones back down to the ground? And in your mind's eye, try to envision making a hula hoop with your spine. And even if it's not necessarily close to being perfectly round, you just want to make sure you have an even curvature or rounding from the hook of your tailbone all the way up into the cervical spine. So keep everything exactly as it is. You're just going to gently unwrap your arms. Let your forearms fall to the mat. Let your head and neck hang a little lower. And then with an exhale, you'll pull your belly in. And just gently, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll your spine up, press into the hands as they walk back. Take your hands and plant them about a foot behind you. Make sure you do look at the legs. If the right leg was not in front, just remember that. Uncross the legs, right shin in front of the left. Bend your knees, plant your feet very wide to the edges of your mat, and you can just let your knees fall side to side. Kind of flossing out the hips. And then as you feel ready, you'll bring your left shin in front of the right. Making that X with the legs. Keep your feet wide and forward with your knees. And if your left calf was in front, just bring it behind this time. Reach your arms forward. This time the right elbow will cross under the left. Find your version of an eagle's beak. Keep that, but try to first round out your spine. Chin to chest, round through the shoulders. Try and even round into your lower back. And then let your elbows fall wherever they land. And then let your head hang into the nape that you've created with your arms, as if they've created a little hammock for your head. Sit bones stay heavy. If you feel any weird pains within the knees, you can always put props underneath them, or you come up and you could slide the feet closer to the groin. If it's too much in the shoulders, remember you can always just grab opposite shoulders like you're giving yourself a hug. Close your eyes, soften your jaw. Release the little muscles on the sides of your eyes. And just come back to your breath. Finding that place of sanctuary. Place where you can withdraw from all the externalities of life. And just become a little bit more focused on that inward aspect. And in the beginning, it may just be the physical focus. Because oftentimes that is how people's practice begins. I find that the practice of asana, or what we know as yoga here in the West, it tends to be like if you were to go into a room at the highest noon. This room has no windows, no lights, and you shut the door behind you. Everything is pitch black. But as your eyes begin to adjust, you're able to see things that originally you weren't. And so in the beginning, it may be very superficial. We may come just because of what yoga does for the body, or even the calming effects it has on the mind. But over time, I find that it opens people's mind, it opens people's hearts to the real and very deep metaphysical things that yoga deals with. And if we can allow ourselves to make that adjustment, beginning to see things that once seemed hidden, it becomes a very beautiful thing. So again, without moving anything, you're just going to slowly untangle your arms and let them fall to the mat. Let the head hang a little heavier. And then without rushing it, you're going to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Plant your hands behind you, lean back so you can uncross the legs, plant the feet wide, and again, just windshield wash your knees side to side. And then from here, let's go ahead and straighten the legs out in front of us. Find the sit bones. So again, you're trying to find the pelvis landing in neutral. You're going to bring your right leg into virasana. So right heel is going to come to the outer right hip. Ideally, it's the top and the top of the foot and shin that are down in the mat. If this hurts your knee, either sit up on a prop or bring the sole of your right foot to the inner left thigh. Now try to keep the right knee as close to your left knee as you can. Both sit bones should be down in the mat. Now cup the earth, framing the knees in front of you. Round through the spine and begin to just kind of crawl your hands forward. So if your forehead, again, doesn't touch the mat or anything, rest it on a prop. Once your forehead rests, let your arms get heavy, elbows bend, and they hang to the mat. So it'll begin to soften the muscles within the shoulders, the trapezius. And the heavier the head can hang, you may even feel it within your suboccipital lobes, the little muscles that basically connect the skull to the cervical spine. Notice if the body's trying to resist this, muscles tightening, you're getting fidgety, moving around. Can you actually just get still enough to breathe through the sensations that are arising? But if you feel any sharp pains within your right knee in that virasana shape, come out. You don't want to overstress the knee. Don't want to snap anything, pull anything. A slight discomfort or a feeling of compression is normal. So again, I like to exit on the exhale so I can pull the belly in to support the spine as it gently rolls up. Walk the hands back. Lean into the left hip. Use your right hand to lift the knee up and bring it forward. Then take both hands underneath your right hamstring and slowly slide the heel out. So you're not shocking the knee. Once the knee is straight, you might even wiggle around your patella, the kneecap itself. And then if you're ready, we'll do the left side. Left knee comes into Virasana ideally. The sole of your foot needs to come to your groin, let it. If you're trying to keep the knees a little closer together, both sit bones should be level, so even if you have to sit on a prop. And then again, round out your spine first and then crawl forward. Let the elbows hang. Try to get as soft as you can. There's obviously going to be involuntary muscle engagement, the things that are going to prevent us from falling out of this. But anything that we can control or consciously tell our body to soften, we want to. So whether it's the muscles within your face, the muscles flexing the right foot, maybe you're extending the spine or you're extending the arms, try to let it all soften. Letting go of that sense of control. We're really trying. It's one beautiful thing about yin, right? We get into the poses and they don't take a huge amount of physical effort. And if we can get to this place where we can just sit still with our breath, the pose will literally do all the work. Which is quite the opposite of what we did in the first half, where we have to do a lot of work to hold those poses. It's about finding that balance. Last few breaths. And without rushing it, you're going to slowly begin to roll yourself up. Lean into the right hip, use the left hand underneath the knee to lift the knee up and forward. Take both hands behind your leg to slowly straighten it out. Wiggle around that patella, the kneecap. And then go ahead, bend the knees, grab the backs of your thighs, and we'll just gently roll down until we're flat on the back. And for this next one, you will need a block or maybe a stack of 3 books or something. You're going to bend your knees, planting your feet so you can lift the hips and just slide your block on the lowest level. You only want your lower back to be about 3, maybe 4 inches off the ground. The top edge of your props should be resting at the sacrum line. And if this feels okay, just stay here. If you want, you can slide one leg straight out in front of you. Maybe you play around with doing both. If you only do one at a time, I'll give you the halfway mark to switch. And then let's take the arms over our head and grab opposite elbows and allow the forearms to get heavy on the mat. If they don't touch the mat, they're getting heavy towards it. Allowing those hips to get fully heavy on the prop. Make sure your legs aren't doing any work or pressing into the feet to help keep the hips elevated. If you have one leg straight, just go ahead and slide your heel back. Try not to lift the foot off the ground so you're not using the hip flexors. And then switch sides. Switch the cross in your elbows. So if both legs are straight, or just one leg at a time, you'll drag the heels back so the heels do stack under the knees. You can release your arms down the sides of your body, palms face up. Press into your feet enough that you can lift your hips up, remove the block, and then gently let the hips touch down. Step your feet wide, allow your knees to knock together up top. That'll help the sacrum broaden. So by all means, you could even stay in this shape for Savasana. If you want to slide your legs out, set up props. Take your time to set it up. Keep the eyes closed. And try to allow yourself to just slip into this with as little effort as possible. Reminding yourself and giving yourself permission to let go of the body, letting it melt into the earth, of the mind, allowing passing thoughts to be just that, passing. You can even let go of your breath, which you've worked so hard to maintain throughout the rest of class. And again, it's a shift of perspective, allowing yourself, the soul, to step aside. Have as close to an out-of-body experience as you can get. Let go. And quite simply, just allow yourself to be. In the attitude of silence, the soul finds the path in a clear light. And what was once elusive and deceptive resolves itself into crystal clearness. Our lives are a long and arduous quest after truth. And quote from Mahatma Gandhi: but again, the practice of sitting within stillness is like stepping into that room with no windows and shutting the door. At first, all you see is darkness. And then as your eyes adjust, maybe you begin to just see the outline of shapes or shadows. And then with even more time, you can actually begin to differentiate things. And so yoga is the quest after truth. And being able to sit still is a big part of it. And as I said earlier in the beginning, within that stillness, at first we may be focusing on the physical sensations that may arise. And then over time we maybe notice the mind, its thoughts, its patterns and habits. We begin to self-reflect, peeling back layers upon layers of who we think we are based on this temporary and material body. And then we begin to ask those deep questions of, well, who am I beyond the body and the mind? Is there a God or is there not a God? And if there is, what is my position relative to that? And in the beginning, things may seem a little elusive and even deceptive. But with more time, patience, practice, the answers become clear. So I welcome you to lay here in Savasana for however long you like. Just laying in stillness, or as close to it as you can get. finding that silence, allowing your vision to shift and adjust. And if not, if you have to get up and go, do so slowly for your own benefit. And hopefully take that with you off the mat. But on that note,